Hello and welcome to the Ground Podcast. Welcome to our middle class studio. We have done all we can, but if you're watching us after 4 years and saying how did we started, this is how we started. But today we are going to talk about Sunil Chhetri, and we are a bit late, thanks to this guy who refuses to buy a raincoat and come when it's raining. But we are here finally. Vedant, how are you? Are you comfortable? These chairs are nice.
Yeah, it's pretty comfortable. At least better than our earlier setup where I think we were sitting on a bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bench.
And you have a mic, so it's a podcasting feel. We have mugs.
Probably because the podcast culture is growing so much. We needed to level up our game. Earlier it wasn't that much.
Okay, so Sunil Chhetri obviously retired. Give us some of the details.
So yeah, I mean probably everybody knows by now that probably you could say the face of Indian football in this decade, 20th century. I wouldn't say till now because we've had a lot of legends earlier. But yeah, everyone that knew Indian football, from FIFA to foreign clubs to probably every person that doesn't watch Indian football, knew it because of Sunil Chhetri. We all know what a great player he was for India, the third highest active international goal scorer. And yeah, I mean probably people do make fun of him, or not of him but of his record, by saying that he just scores against Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, anybody can do that.
I just, before you can just remember this point. So I wanted to do a reel on this, that Indian fans do not need to defend Sunil Chhetri on social media, because I've read the comments. It's just pure racist. These are made by either 12-year-olds or people wanting to be 12-year-olds on social media, because it's just very racist it makes no sense. So I've just left it, and probably you all don't need to defend Sunil Chhetri.
Yeah. It's not about defense. It's just, just the ground reality of what he has gone through, the system and everything, what needs to be done. And probably if it was that easy, we would have had 10 players doing that by now across pretty much all South Asian countries, but there's only one guy, so there's a reason for that. And yeah, I mean probably his legacy or what he has done for Indian football does not need to be spoken that much, because everybody probably knows it by now. What I would like to speak about is his influence of the field, because I mean starting from that one video which he posted on Instagram to appeal to Indian fans to actually come to the stadiums and watch football, that went so viral. And I don't know probably how much it impacted on the very ground level, or how much the attendance or participation into the matches to watch the live games in the stadiums increased. But I know for sure that after that reel, everybody knew that we need to support Indian football, and we need to back our own players just like we do for cricket, because supporting India at the international level is just as important, and it has so much of impact. When you actually go to the stadium to watch a match, you don't even realize how big of an impact that actually has on the entire ecosystem. So starting from that very video, Sunil Chhetri has been that advocate, not just for himself. He's not that guy who will constantly talk about like other players, how important he is, or what he has done for Indian football. No, his focus has always been. And I even saw a video where he was asked, when will Indian football reach on the level of cricket in India? And his reply was that he is happy for Kohli and Dhoni, and he wants cricket to grow as much, because he said that football is not in competition with cricket. He wants Indian sports to prosper. So this entire debate that cricket is great in India, football needs to catch up, he gave a pretty good answer to that in that as well, that football needs to have its separate entity where football needs to grow. And for football to grow, cricket does not have to degrade. Cricket should also grow in its own space. So should athletics, so should hockey, so should all the other sports. So he has been that influence of the pitch, apart from just his goals or what he does on the pitch. Whatever his ideologies or what he believes in has also been an inspiration for the younger generation. There was also a video which he posted where I think it was a training session where he talked about how he was fit compared to all the younger players. So I feel that in sports or in any team, for example, you do not always need players who for example, even in CSK right now, it's probably not a great example, but they kept Dhoni for probably their own reasons to increase brand value or whatever. But an important thing that he brings to the pitch, even when if he's not playing or even if he's not the captain, is his experience, is his mentorship, is probably the work ethic that he teaches, or just is his expertise in the field. And that is exactly what Sunil Chhetri brought apart from his goals, like his constant hunger to be the best version of himself, which probably motivates other players in the squad, right? Because if tomorrow, if you're in the team and you see a 40-year-old, 39-year-old being there for training every single day before the training starts, or constantly trying to be his best version, then you yourself are motivated. You're like, what the fuck am I doing if I am a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old? So it's that influence, is that personality of his which he brought to the team, which apart from his goals, which in my opinion will be missed very much, just for the entire team.
He has had an influence, and I was going to talk about this point later on, but I think it's a good segue here that I recently did a video for a local sports club, and we just went to some of the kids and asked them, do you know Sunil Chhetri, and can you talk about him? And few kids came in and they talked with so much sense. They said that he inspired me to play football, he has inspired big talents. But then later on, one kid said that it's probably a good decision because we want young players to have a chance. So that was sensible. And one kid said that even after Sunil Chhetri retires, India should be a very good place to play football. So I mean, it's understood, but he has had that influence here. He has had an influence in the next generation, not just on us who've been we grew on watching European football. And that could be a curse as well in some point, because we didn't have ISL, we had Premier League, so we started watching that football, and compared to that, this game is very low quality. But probably if the younger generation has started watching and grew up watching football in India, it's much more better for them, because they may not then directly identify themselves with European clubs, but at least be a very good local supporter of their club. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of influence Sunil Chhetri has had and is having as well.
And yeah, I mean, probably because of what you said right now, I also remember you were talking about that. I mean, of course, from his career, which has been a long one, he has majorly played in India, and we are constantly cribbing about why our players are not good enough to play in foreign leagues. Like, why doesn't India, we have so much of population, why doesn't India produce a talent that good that probably a Premier League club or a Bundesliga club comes to India, takes, and then pays a transfer fee, which in turn helps the club. But Chhetri was one of those players. He had that talent, but again, then what went wrong?
So yeah, in 2006 to 2008 was his golden period, where Leeds United, Queen's Park Rangers, I think Coventry City, Celtic as well. So there was a Celtic scout who watched Sunil Chhetri in trials, and when he was in Spain playing a friendly against a Spanish team, and he was interested. A lot of things didn't materialize as it happens in football, but then there came a final opportunity when QPR actually wanted to sign him. And based on his trials, he went there, the contract was signed, but then I think the authorities back at that time didn't give him the visa, because Indian team was below 70th rank. So working visa was not allotted, so obviously he could not work or play for QPR. But the story could have been so different, and he wasn't disappointed. On his page, on his Wikipedia page, it was written that when newspapers asked him that what happens now, you're not able to go there, he said like my focus is on Dempo now, it doesn't matter where I play, I'm just going to give everything to my team. So it tells you that for a player who not only Indians saying that he was good, he was actually good because some of the European clubs and second division championship clubs is actually a huge deal if they are interested. And he was supposed to go there, he went there, but something happened, and obviously the visa thing happened, he couldn't play. But then for a player, it could have been his downfall. It could have been like what's even the use if I'm just stuck in India, and no ISL then, there was this national league coming on. 2007 was, I think, I League inauguration, and so for example, you can just imagine it was just 2-3 years since this I League has begun, and the football was very low level. You know, I don't know if people have watched it, but if you watch it, it's like it's very slow. It's just long balls. So for a player like Chhetri, who was very good on the ball, evident from a fact that if you go just a year later, I think in 2009, he was signed by Kansas City Wizards in MLS,
Yeah.
and he played a friendly against Manchester United. And if you see his ball control, if you see his willingness to run, if you see his willingness to pass, go through the line, shoot. I mean, for an Indian player to have a confidence of controlling the ball on his chest, I'll maybe try and add that video somewhere. He controlled his ball on the chest. I think it was Fabio behind him, and then he took control. He went past Scholes and then took a shot from outside the final third. So he had that confidence that at least I can shoot and try to score a goal. It wasn't like, okay, where are my players? Should I shoot? Should I not?
Yeah.
You know, because obviously if it was wasteful, it was an embarrassment for the entire nation that, okay, Indian players, you can't even. So he didn't do that. So that means that he had that mentality from the beginning, and then obviously came here and scored a lot of goals, tons of goals. And I still don't think that we have any player. We had Baichung Bhute, who played 33 games for Bury in League 2. I think at that time Bury was on in League 2.
Yeah.
And then we had Sunil Chhetri. But who's after Sunil Chhetri? That's really a big question.
Yeah, and you know, we constantly talk about, I mean, we have spoken about this in our previous episodes, like we don't have a replacement for Chhetri. If Chhetri is not there, then what is T-Mac going to do? Who is he going to play? And there are a lot of names probably in Indian football that can replace him, but there is no sure shot player that we can say with our chest that, you know, this guy is the next big thing. He's going to surpass Chhetri. No, that's not there. And you know,
I really thought Ashik Kuranen was someone who could be that, but obviously injuries have played a part.
Yeah, and you know, this season also we had spoken about which striker can replace him, but there was not anyone in particular that can replicate. I mean, there's not even someone who can replicate his goals tally in the ISL. I mean, probably apart from Changte. Can you expect that on the international level? I don't know. But again, that's a question that can be answered. But I was wondering about this, you know, what can be done. And because you also took up that point of how he inspires young kids, as you met, who probably started playing football because of him, and that's a pretty rare thing, or that's a pretty big thing, because in India, most of you ask if you ask anyone which their favorite football club is or player is, there's always a Messi or Ronaldo or Pele or Maradona or Manchester United or Arsenal or Real Madrid or Barcelona. So if someone says that it's Chhetri, it's probably a very big thing and a very rare thing. So, you know, probably I was just wondering that what can be done to probably find the next Chhetri, or just find a good enough player, or create that ecosystem in India where you do not have to rely on, you know, just finding players, just consistently produce talent from the grassroots level. And one of the ideas that probably came in, because I was watching NBA recently, I do watch basketball, and then there they have a system of the draft, where young players who register themselves for the draft, I think the age is 22 after college, and there they have a big college culture.
College
players,
football, college basketball is a big thing.
There, not just basketball, even the rugby,
baseball, and football.
There's a big culture there. So colleges actually select kids who are not that good at studies, but are actually good for sports, just so that their team can win. That is a pretty big deal. Like, can you imagine in IIT, if they scrap the JEE and keep 2 seats for kids who are good at football, so that IIT can win some Indian college level championship, which is of pretty huge prestige? What a change that will bring in the sporting culture of the country. And I was just, you know, wondering that can something of that sort be replicated here? Because while researching about it, I came across the ISL draft, which happened in 2016 and 17. But that draft also was a bit like IPL. Like, players were retained, and all the top players were in that draft, like Subroto Paul and all the older guys as well. And there, what happened was that some players were unhappy because there was a cap, the salary cap, where players could buy, teams could buy players for a fixed amount. They had a fixed budget. So then their salary also had to be compromised. So that's why some of the big players were unhappy. So I was wondering, why could you not do a draft where these kids, these college kids, or to start that entire culture right from colleges, where you don't have to convince your parents to play, for you to play, just by saying that, probably I can get selected for India, probably I can get selected for ISL. But if this culture gets started here, parents will tell kids ki FC Goa, FC Mumbai City will come to your college, or you can register for the draft. So go and play, because the professional contract, and the opportunities you will get is huge. So I was wondering that not just for football, probably for Pro Kabaddi League, whatever leagues we have in India, can there be a system, can there be a draft which allows students from colleges, or who have passed out of colleges, or are looking to start a career in football? Because you know what happens, right? If you see a player who is starting probably in 24 or 25, you say it's too late for you now, you should have started at 18 or 19. But if those players want to start, and if they can register themselves, and then you can make it regional, you can make it national level, where all the I-League, ISL teams probably come, they pick a certain set of players from that entire draft. Won't that increase the participation in sports, and just the prospect of having a professional contract from these teams, then going to play in their academies or whatever? Won't that even persuade parents to let their kids get into sports?
Yeah, absolutely. Because see, I think that Indian families just need a security that there can be a career in this. So it's not just, I mean, if you remove sports out of it, apart from being a doctor, engineer, or I don't know, IT engineer, of course, there's not real security in some other things. So obviously, I myself, when I go to someone, or when I went to someone after 10, they said that, become an architect, journalism is not for you, which is true, because there's no money in journalism. But still, if you actively discourage someone, so imagine if someone goes out there and says that after 10th, like, I want to be a football player. First of all, he has to go through a lot of negativity, which is not possible as a kid. Right now, probably we just don't care about people, so we don't really, care about what they say. But if clubs do come to college, first of all, then your college culture should be very good. You need to have big tournaments for colleges to participate. I think Subroto Cup is there for schools, which was a pretty big deal, and I think I loved to participate in it. We used to look at, okay, who are we facing? There was one run I think our school did till quarterfinals, and we were against a very good side who were like we obviously compare teams like the Manchester United or Liverpool of this thing, like only they will win always. But then we lost. But it was like continuous 7 games in 2 weeks. That means that we were playing, we were improving. If next season or next year, if I could do the same, I'll be a better player. And if that happens, then obviously we can do it. PKL, I think, does that now, not for young players, but what they have done is, or Pune Pulton and some of the other clubs now have started to do it, that they have a corporate team in the young corporate leagues. So Yuva Pulton, for example, is a corporate team owned by Pune Pulton, and they participate in corporate kabaddi leagues. Just like Mumbai has these corporate teams, Mahindra and Mahindra, for example, and in cricket as well, they have corporate teams, football. So they participate in that. Only young players below the age of 23 or 24 participate in that, and if they play good over there, 1 year, go through the training, then they pick them up, sign them, and they play the main league. And in their auction, only 1 or 2 players are taken by each team, because they already have a set of young players coming in. Now obviously Kabaddi is a bit different, because Kabaddi was established already, and all these young players, it's a village game. So and we are the biggest Kabaddi nation, so that's why we don't rely on foreign players, or we are the best quality, so even our young Indian players are one of the best. But in football, I think that if you retain by contract someone, but I think they should have it for young players, because young players are not picked enough right now. No one has an academy except Punjab, which is good, and which was Minerva Punjab. So it's all their efforts now reaping. Round Punjab is reaping their benefits, because it was Minerva Punjab before, and they had a brilliant academy. But apart from them, I don't think anyone has a core academy. Maybe Reliance Foundation and Mumbai City FC is.
Yeah, those teams do have. I mean, if you go to AIFF's website and you see the registered academy, almost all ISL clubs have a registered academy.
Yeah, but they're not good.
Yeah, there's a rating system, right? So probably, as you mentioned, Reliance, and there are 3-4 more who are rated. But the rest of them, when you go down, you find probably the team ISL teams is just rated 2 or something, which should not be the standard. Like ISL teams, if you go by, because ISL is the top of the football pyramid in India, then their academy should be at the top compared to others. So again, that needs to improve. And
Pune had a very good academy.
yeah,
Pune,
yes.
FC Pune.
There's a
City.
lot of young players. Even you must have friends who actually went and played for Pune City FC. So that's a pretty big thing, right? Like if you get a professional contract, and because what happens is if you go now as a football player, you register in academies, then the chances of you actually getting picked by an ISL team, because only if you're good enough, and then actually getting to play for them are very rare. But if this system comes into place where a team actually picks you from the draft, then
and
you have a lot of chances.
And even you can go independent. You don't need to go from a club.
Yeah.
Independently register, go on your own, go from a train, go on in the trials, get selected. Like what happened, for example, in IPL auction, you do have to go to a camp before the auction. You have to go to the camp. If you're selected, then you can set your base price. So if I'm a young cricket player and I want to play IPL, I know that I'm playing Ranji and for the state for a long time now. I want to play IPL. You can go to the camp, get selected there, and then you have to fill up a form where you can write your base price 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 50 lakhs, and then you actually go in the auction. So now if someone picks you up or not, that's a different thing. But you can do it for football,
exactly.
because you never know if someone from a remote village is a very good football player, but he doesn't have a club that has access to national leagues, then what should he do? Like, should he just keep on playing at the local level?
Anyone from Pune, for example, like what's the pathway to ISL, or what's the pathway to I-League? There is no club in India, as you said, in Pune, that can actually go to the ISL. Probably from I-League 3, you can start your journey, but again, that's such a long journey.
That's a long journey, and I don't think ISL clubs actually have scouts who look at these local tournaments. I don't think so, because even if they have scouts, I haven't seen a player from a local level coming to the academy or coming to the club in ISL and then maybe after 2 years making his or her debut. So it's bizarre that way that young players have to go through this. Well, I mean, we don't even know the next big kid, right? England already has these even Jude Bellingham is just, I think, what, 19, 20, and they're already talking about the next big thing, who is like 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And Jude Bellingham is old news now.
Yeah.
And Haaland, we think he's such a big player. He's like what, 22 or something like 21, 22.
23 something.
I mean, he's at this age, at 23, we feel that a player's career is already over because
Mbappe is 25. Can you believe it? He seems older now. There are so many young players coming in now.
So we have to do something, because after Chhetri, I don't think there's anyone who has this big of an influence, first of all, and someone who can really take India forward.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the next step for India? Chhetri came in, he talked about fitness, he talked about having that mindset of winning, he talked about how India is very important for football fans. After that, the next step is starting to win games, starting to really become this one personality where people start following you, and then therefore they're following Indian football. I don't think that anyone is, and I think this draft system can definitely help.
Because I was watching Jurgen Klopp's video. If you saw after the match, he announced Slot's name, that he's going to be there. He was singing it probably, and that reminded me of when Sir Alex Ferguson when it was his last match, he had announced David Moyes is going to take over and take care of him, and then the rest is history. We know what happened, but that got me thinking that these guys, like, probably it happened with Sir Alex, where he announced his successor. He had built such a huge club, and then it all went to waste. It's still going in waste after 12 years of his retirement. Same can happen with Liverpool. Klopp built a big club, the entire, that he's changed the entire history of the club since the Premier League era. They had not won, they won again the UCL and everything, right? But after he's gone, I don't know what will happen. But if Slot does not live up to the expectations, and if all the work that he has done goes to waste, then how will those people feel that they worked so hard for something and then the foundations were just gone after they left? That is what I think Sunil Chhetri will also feel after he retires. And if we do not find any replacement, or if Indian football does not prosper, then he's just gonna be filled with regret. He's not that guy who will feel, oh, I was the one who carried that team and people will now realize my importance. No, he will actually feel bad for the team. And I think for him, that's the best, or that's the bare minimum we need to do for Chhetri, is to actually take this team to the top after he retires, so that whatever he has done for the country, whatever recognition he has brought, actually does justice for Indian football.
All right, I think we're done.
Yeah,
We are done with the first episode, and thank you for being with us in our multi-million dollar studio. And this is water, by the way. So, all right. So, the Ground Podcast is all about talking sports, and we want to talk about things that people don't talk about. It's not just something on the pitch. I think it's somewhere outside it as well. I had written a very good sentence. It's like the best sentence of my life. We have to keep the dirt on the ground where players play, and not outside where players pay. So that's the dirt of politics and systems that we need to. So
I was afraid you were gonna mess that up and then entire.
But I didn't. Yeah. So all right. For that, you can subscribe and like the video, and we'll try to keep on doing this until we make it.
And also let us know your thoughts on the draft system. If we are missing out on something, probably that is wrong or something.
And if there are any other solutions in your mind that Indian football should do after this is a significant thing for Indian football. And I think we'll meet after Qatar. India plays Qatar maybe, and hopefully we maybe make it through to the World Cup stage 3. All right, that's it. We'll meet you in the next episode.